and very loud kids being a very loud part of it. The best thing I do all year is come to MomCon. Like, I've been coming for 5 years now. Yes, I feel like there's something in me so awesome. I was telling Eliza before the session started, and I know if you were in my session last year, you heard me say it then, and if I'm back next year, you'll hear me say it again. But I love it because it's like mom church, right? I mean, it is, but it's the best version of mom church because normally when you say mom church, what you think of is how you're kind of in that room with the screaming babies and the one-way mirror, and you're trying to nurse. You can't really hear what the pastor's saying as your kid is pulling at your shirt and asking for a snack. No, this is the mom church where you get to focus, you get to worship, and you get to be fed. And then, if you need to, you get to go to the bathroom all by yourself. Right. So it is the best version. I'm telling you tonight when praise and worship starts and there are like 3,000 moms standing with their hands raised in the air, I just feel like all of heaven bends over and says, these are the women raising the next generation, come and see. So you are my favorite people by far. I love being here. It's like holy ground. And where else can you have a whole group of moms come together and sit and fill up a room where there's not a single seat left because we are proud to admit we may or may not have a slight issue with anger. Okay? So as they were coming in, the moms girls were saying to each other, let them in. These are the angry moms. Move down, make sure they have space. So I want to tell you, it's special to me because last year I taught this for the first time, this workshop, and I had women come up to me afterwards and say, you know, I was embarrassed even to tell my friends I was coming to your session. So joking aside, I want to acknowledge your courage in being here today. And I want to tell you, please look around. You are not alone, okay? There are other women who struggle with parenting tiny humans and keeping it all together. I really feel like they need to put more warning labels on children because there are warning labels on everything, like don't use your iron, don't iron while your clothes are on. Like, these are things I know, okay? But I did not know that when I left the hospital with that tiny little human being, that kid would cause me to lose my mind on an epic level that really can't be put into words. It's really more that sound that dogs can only hear. That's how I feel. And I feel like to be qualified to give this talk, I should give you a few examples of what I'm talking about. So they range. There's a spectrum of crazy. So on the low end of the spectrum is that thing your kids do where they've eaten something sticky, or they've played with something sticky, or they've touched paint, and then they just wipe it on, just like whatever is around them, right? So that's mildly aggravating. On the other side of the spectrum, is anybody here have sons? Boys? All right, prepare yourselves. This awaits you. You have 3? Oh, but yeah, I feel like this is good. Yeah. So one night, I am just minding my own business in my own house that I clean and pay for. And I'm walking past the bathroom, and I look up, and my 2 sons go, "Look, Mom, look!" And I look over to see what wonderful act they may have committed, like, I don't know, changing the toilet paper roll all by themselves, right? But no, that's not what it was. I look over, and my boys are standing like this, going, "Look how high we can pee!" They are peeing over every surface in the bathroom. They were proud about it. Can you say that only dogs could hear Mommy that night? It was a very intense and emotional time for me, and for them afterwards. So I feel like, speaking of my kids, I should introduce you to my family. This is them. Oh, I know, look how sweet they look. They're so cute. You can't tell that I'm pinning down the one on my lap. And my husband has his arm around the other one to try to keep him in place, right? So this is false advertising right here. So I need to show you this. Yes, yes, yes. moments where you ask the word why to your children, and it's more like, why? Why? And then they all go, they look at each other, they don't know why. And you know that you feel like you're going to lose your mind in those moments, right? I feel like motherhood needs to come with a warning label that says, contents under extreme pressure. Because that is how it is. Contents under extreme pressure at all times. We can joke about it, right? But the truth of it is, no matter what job I've had in my life, and I've had a very interesting array, none of them have led to the stress levels as motherhood has. There's no off switch. There's no downtime. There's no privacy. There's no alone. There's no space. And that's why we're here today. Because first of all, I want to tell you, you're not alone in feeling that way. It's just really hard. And all my life of mothering kids, I wanted somebody else to admit that to me. To go first and say, it's so hard. So here I am today, and I'm coming to you. You are the leaders of MOPS groups. And I'm going to set you an example today for what you need to do when you go home. I am here to tell you, it is so hard. And I'm going to tell you my true stories. My hard, ugly, upside-down stories of temper. Because I want you to go home and do the same thing to your MOPS groups. Because if you don't tell those stories, if you don't admit it, there's going to be a new mom who thinks there's something wrong with her. And she's never going to admit it. And her kids are going to live with the time bomb. And they need you to give them the gift of going first. So that's why we're here today. Before we get started, I want to remind you of something. I know it's easy to walk into this room and have a lot of guilt about where we're coming from, and embarrassment, and awkwardness, and a sense of hopelessness. But here's what I want you to say after me. We're going to start like this. We're going to repeat something that we've all sung with our kids 100 times. You know the song, right? Jesus loves me, this I know, right? So can I hear you all say it with me? Jesus loves me, this I know. That is where we're going to start today. Jesus loves you. He loves you. He loves you. He loves you. All right? That's where a conversation about anger has to begin. Jesus loves us. So, some of you, let me pause this quickly. In order to remind you about the hard work that you do and how much Jesus loves you and how valuable you are, before we get into a conversation about temper, I wanted to show you a short clip, a video clip. Some of you may have seen it before. It's based on a blog post that I wrote. And I think before we start talking about temper, we need to look and see what we do is an act of courage and be reminded that you are mighty because you mother. You're not weak because you mother. You're not guilty or bad. You are mighty because you mother. So, here we go.
There are those who say that this is ordinary, but don't let that fool you. Mother will always be the bravest, least ordinary, most difficult, utterly challenging career that anyone ever hopes to lay claim to. While others might hear diaper changer, food maker, laundry maker, carpooler, bottle washer, sweatpants wearer, life on hold, want to be doing anything else wrong. The truth is, whether it feels like it some days or not, you are in fact a shelter from the storm. You are a cape of good hope. You are a warrior who will do battle for your children's hearts, souls, attention, innocence, education, and memories. Go to battle, my friends. This is your time. We will hold strong on either side of you. We will pray for those bottles through the dark watches of the night. And when doubt comes and children break, when adults fail them, and when they push and push as hard against us as the day we deliver them into this world, we will not be broken. We may ache and see cracks tear through our hearts, but we will get up again tomorrow, and we will load the clothes and the words that need to be said again and again and again. And when the world tries to claw at them, to break them, to smash the beauty in them. May our walls hold true. May the lessons we've told, the truths we've lived, the life we've spoken into them come back easily, predictably, with wash and repeat ease. Kingdom business, Jesus work, this shaping of souls, this raising tiny humans. There are those that say this is ordinary. Don't buy it for a second. Mighty. You are mighty because you, Mother.
Okay, so apologies that we do not have cleaners. I wrote this blog post 2 years ago, and a dad contacted me and has a film company and said, could we turn that into a video? And I was like, okay, that seems weird, but sure. And when he sent it to me, I was working. My desk is in the corner of our playroom. It's complete chaos, and I watched the video, and I just bawled when I watched it because it was the reminder that we forget over and over again that what we do is remarkable. I showed it to my kids last night when I was getting ready to come, and my son Micah, you'll hear a lot more about him during this talk, he put his arm around me and he said, Mom, is that how you feel sometimes? I said, yes, son, it is. And then before the video was over, he said, are those moms going to go back into the room to their kids? I said, yes, they are. And he said, just like you do, right, Mom? He said, yes. And that's why you're here this weekend, to get the courage to go back into those rooms and face the hard conversations. And that's why this talk is called 10 Things to Do Before You Lose Your Temper. Because once you're in that Banshee Mama place, there's no rewinding that. Okay? Like, once this has happened, there's no going back. You're now in the dark side. Okay? And all that can fix that is chocolate cake and an apology. Preferably both ways. So we are here to prepare for those moments because anger should not take us by surprise. We shouldn't be surprised that we're going to lose our temper. I have yet to talk to a mom who doesn't struggle with this. And if there's a mom who tells you she doesn't, I'm sorry, she's flat out lying, and you can tell her to come talk to me. It's just not true. It's incredibly stressful being a mother. There was a study done recently that I read about. It was so interesting, and it talked about how mothers of young children experience the same degrees of stress and adrenaline that soldiers do in active combat. I'm telling you the truth. And I showed that to my husband and said, I told you there was something going on here. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about what do we do on the horrible, terrible, no good, very bad days.